Hello, my friends. How is everybody doing? I hope you had a great lunch. I had a chicken Caesar salad and I am ready to go. The afternoon session of the Widow's Words murder trial. And I don't think it's going to rain this afternoon, guys. Let's hope. Let's hope good weather holds for the 4th of July weekend. Florida got slammed this week, man. Oh, Judy. No. No. Oh, unbelievable. I just heard thunder. Well, hey, Wiggles. Hey, Judy. Hey, all my replay crew, all my lurkers. Welcome in. Everybody is welcome and loved and appreciated here. We are back for the afternoon session of Iowa v. Karina Cooper. I do not like this woman. I don't know yet if she's guilty. I don't care. I don't like her. I'm just putting that out there right now. I don't like her. So they just started back. They are outside the presence of the jury right now. So let's go ahead. I was a couple minutes late. I'm sorry. I was on a ride at Epcot. No, I was watching. I waited until court started back because I didn't want to just sit there with, small talk. Because I run people off sometimes because, I don't know. I guess I think I'm funny and I'm not, so.
Record on at least one thing before we do. I think we had two sidebars. I'll just touch those briefly. The first one, I think Ms. Watt asked to approach related to an exhibit. I believe it was the large exhibit that contained the information from the Faro scan. Asked it to be down, and we took it down. And I guess just as a reminder to all parties, if you use an exhibit, once you're done with the exhibit, let's take it down, okay?
Just for the record, Judge, it was Exhibit 305.
Okay. And then I think maybe Mr. Kodiaga asked to approach and that was just about scheduling, taking a break, and that was a non-issue. So before we go any further, either party have anything they want to add to that discussion? No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then I think we were going to talk about what the state has offered as Exhibit 307. My understanding, Ms. Watt, I guess you asked for some time to think about whether you had an objection or not, and so do you?
Yes, I do have an objection to this exhibit. Would you like me to state why?
Yes.
Okay. I understand the purpose of a demonstrative is to assist the jury in understanding the expert witness's testimony, but I don't think it is a proper exhibit because it is not the actual evidence itself. It's her taking copies and pastes and creating this PowerPoint with some of the evidence, but it's incomplete. I'm objecting to the formatting, I guess, and there's another proposed exhibit in the court file, I believe it's 194, which is all of the Snapchats from Houston's iPhone, and there's a lot more than what's on this exhibit. And so I fear that giving them this exhibit, which is incomplete compared to the other records we have available, could be misleading.
So I guess, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I mean, I guess, if it's a completeness argument, the rule of completeness would allow you to supplement the exhibit. So, I mean,
right.
So if that was an issue, you could offer State's Exhibit 194 or other exhibits and address that concern.
Yes, I understand that. I just think that the way that it's laid out here, I think it was appropriate for testimony and aiding the jury in understanding what she said. But the other things that are contained in this have not been.
Can I jump in on it?
No.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
The slides with the buses and the football, and things. Those are her interpretations of information that's in this case. We just don't believe that's proper evidence for the jury to have back as an exhibit as opposed to her testimony. And it's also, I mean, we could have it in the Snapchat exhibits. That would be the actual evidence that could be established with the foundation and the chain of custody, rather than cherry picking some information and giving the jury a packet of that they think is the best.
All right. Mr. Ringel?
Judge, thank you. With regard to the information that's been provided, of course, this comes in a form or format that's not necessarily easily readable or understandable to everyone in terms of completeness. Of course, there's an entire dump of the phone that's several gigs. What she's done and what her testimony was, and I think I agree with defense with the exception of the slides related to the buses and the football field. She's testified that the remainder of the information is directly ported over from the Celebrite report itself. It's simply put in a format that's easier to understand and read. So from the state's perspective, the question isn't really about the formatting. The question is about the content and whether that content is appropriate to be admitted in this case. The content is exactly the same as the Celebrite report, which is not objectionable from the state's perspective, and the foundation has been laid to admit that information. So the state's simply asking to admit this information in a format that's more readable and understandable. It's not an interpretation in any way. It's simply the information that she located.
I mean, I think and again, I think if I understand correctly, primary objection was, again, we had the football field with the houses. I mean, that didn't come from Celebrite.
And that's what I had said, Judge. I said with the exception of those two slides, which for the state's exhibit, I think the state's intent would be to remove those two slides. It's the slide with the school buses in the house.
All right, well, let me stop you there. I don't want to have an issue where there may not be an issue. Would that satisfy the defendant if those two slides were removed and then it was, and yeah, anyway, would that address the issue, I guess, from your end? I don't want to pressure you. I mean, I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm just asking.
I just have a general problem with a witness's PowerPoint presentation going in as evidence for the jury, but it's better without those couple slides.
Okay. Better to the extent there's not an objection, or better that there still is an objection?
I'll keep my objection.
All right. Well, so where we stand is the state's offered to take those two slides out. Defendant still objects. I guess the luxury I have, considering the current posture of this case and where we're at, is that I don't have to, unlike most objections, make an immediate decision. So I'm not going to. I will think about it a little bit. I have that luxury of time. I mean, the jury's already seen it. It doesn't impede the state's presentation of its case at this point. Again, I have a note. I will circle back to 307 at a later time. Anything either party wants to say about that?
Judge, I'm sorry, I would just note that this is State's Exhibit 306.
306. Thought I had.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, okay. All right, sorry then, 306. Anything else on the defendant's end?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else we need to take up before we get started with the jury?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
No.
All right. Then I guess we're a few minutes early, but as long as we've got everybody and they're ready to go, let's go. Who cares? We don't.
I wish my dogs would make up their mind. They ask me to go out, and I get up and go to the door, and then they change their minds.
All right, go ahead and have a seat, everybody. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a good lunch. So we're back on the record. We have our jury, we have counsel and parties present, and we have Detective Lord still on the stand. And ma'am, I would just remind you that even though we took a break, you're still under oath, and believe we were still engaged in direct examination. So Mr. Ringel, whenever you're ready, you may resume.
Judge, thank you. And we were proceeding through the demonstrative exhibit that had been prepared by Detective Lord. I would ask that we turn the screen back on and perhaps lower the lights.
More of this smut. More smut text messages? Is that what we're doing? Yay.
Detective Lord, welcome back. You had stated that you found some information on Karina Cooper's device that was part of an Apple Health app and indicated some steps and movement. Did you look for similar information or data on Houston Danker's phone?
I did.
And is that part of the exhibit that you prepared today?
Yes, it is.
What information were you able to locate?
So on here, the same as on Karina's phone, you have the start date and time, end date and time, the duration of that distance, and steps taken.
And so specifically then on the night of the murder, were you able to determine whether Houston Danker's phone was recording steps?
I was.
And what information did you locate, I guess, starting with 6/18/2021, which looks like the second line down on what you've prepared here?
Yeah, so on 6/18/2021, it shows that there is movement between 2:43 a.m., 2:51 p.m., and then it jumps to 3:13 a.m. to 3:23 a.m., which then continues on from 3:23 a.m. to 3:26 a.m. And then there's a gap of no movement until 4:46 a.m.
So with regard to that movement at 3:13 a.m., what was the distance of movement that you noted there?
Are you asking total between 3:13 and 4:46?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you pull your microphone a little bit closer?
Yeah, what did you ask? Sorry.
I'm asking, you said that there was movement there between 3:13 a.m. and 3:23 a.m. What was the distance of movement that you noted there?
Yeah, so the distance there was 159 meters.
Okay. And then there was further movement then between 3:23 and 3:26. What did you note there?
Yeah, the distance there was 37.28 meters.
And then you indicated there was a gap. Could you just explain what you were talking about?
Yeah, the phone showed just no movement between 3:26 a.m. and 4:46 a.m.
And you had testified previously that there was Snapchat messages between the parties indicating something to the extent of phones down. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if an individual was not in possession of their phone, not carrying their phone, would it be recording steps, or could that account for the gap we see here?
Yeah, they would not record steps if their phone was put down.
With the information that you located and the other information that you received as an investigator, did you attempt to put together a timeline from the night of the murder?
I did.
All right, I'm showing you the exhibit that you've prepared. Looks like it is animating. What is the first line on your exhibit that you've prepared?
Yeah, so between 3:31 and 3:32:58, that's when that Snapchat conversation took place between Karina's phone and Houston's phone.
All right, and that's the Snapchat conversation. Judge, may I have just a moment? All right, so that was the Snapchat conversation that we saw where Ms. Cooper said go, and then they talked about putting their phones down.
That is correct.
That conversation ended at 3:32:58, and what was the next event that you noted in your timeline?
Yeah, that is at 4:13 when that live photo was viewed.
And that was on Karina Cooper's phone, correct?
Yes.
And what did you note next?
At 4:18 in the morning, there was 2 deleted photos.
And the next activity you noted on the phone that you included in your timeline?
Those were the steps taken between 4:23 and 4:33 a.m.
We'd heard previous testimony that Karina Cooper called Aaron Cooper at 4:30 a.m. Were you able to verify that information by examining the phone?
I was.
And how did you verify that information?
Yeah, so at 4:30, that is when the call came out from Karina's phone to Aaron Cooper. That is also located on the U.S. cellular records.
All right, so then the next thing you noted here, you have 3 separate entries. What are those? At 4:31, again at 4:31 and 4:33.
Yeah, those are calls from Aaron Cooper to Karina Cooper.
And the length of those phone calls then, and this is, looks to be more or less immediately following the phone call to Aaron Cooper, 1 second unanswered and 23 seconds?
Yes.
And then what's this next piece of information at 4:33:43?
Yeah, that is when Karina Cooper's cell phone called 911.
And what's this that we see at 4:34:44?
That's when Aaron Cooper called 911.
And at 4:39 a.m.?
That's when Aaron Cooper arrived at the address of 1846 K Ave.
All right. And 4:42 a.m.?
That is when the first deputy arrived at that address.
Did you do some additional work then to look at Houston Danker's search history on his iPhone 7?
I did.
Showing you the next slide, it looks like we have an icon here for Google. It says Google search history. Could you explain what you were looking for and how you completed that search?
Yeah, so for on the phones, I narrowed it down to the time that the incident occurred, and I located some search history. And then after that, I got rid of the timeline, and it located some other history that was also around the same time that doesn't necessarily have a timestamp.
And it may be fairly obvious to some people, but perhaps not everyone. Can you explain what a Google search history is?
Yeah, so what a Google search history is basically an index of a whole bunch of different sites. So when you go to search something, it tries to pull what it thinks you are searching for, the most accurate thing.
And again, perhaps fairly obvious, but these searches are completed typically manually or input by a user, is that correct?
Yes.
And you've just included the results of that search that you did in attempting to locate the searches that Houston Danker had completed here on this next slide.
Yes.
What is the, if you could just go through a couple of the results that you found.
Yeah, how to kill somebody with antifreeze. Best way to kill somebody with no way for anybody to find out who did it. How to save snaps without them knowing. And then the SS on here is how to screenshot on Snap without them knowing 2021. And that was searched on February 16th, 2021.
And some additional history that you located.
So this was on May 11th, 2021 at 9:20 p.m. Is sodium sulfate, is it deadly? This is on May 22nd, 2021 at 8:52 p.m. I might sound strong, but diphenhydramine versus bromethylene. This is the same date and time, a little bit later, at diphenhydramine, does it kill humans? Again, on May 22nd, this is now at 9:17 p.m., the black market. This is 6/18/2021 at 5 p.m. Old open Snapchats be found again after being seen in the state of Iowa.
And what's the date of that particular search?
Yeah, that one is June 18th, 2021 at 5 p.m.
And so again, that's the date of Ryan's death, correct?
Yes. This is again on June 18th at 6:17 p.m. Are Snapchats encrypted? This one's on July 1st, 2021 at 10:26 p.m. Where do murderers go to prison? This is July 2nd, 2021 at 10:29 p.m. Minimum security prisons in Iowa. This is again on July 2nd at 10:30 p.m. High security prisons.
I'm going to move forward here to the next slide looks like, or excuse me, the next line on your slide is July 3rd. What does this one say?
How long does it take to go through data forensics?
And the 10th?
Leavenworth Prison.
And July 16th.
How to permanently delete Snapchat data.
So this is approximately 1 month after Ryan's death, is that correct?
Yes.
And now from November of 2021,
Does your Snapchat location turn off when you log out?
did you find then some additional searches related to Snapchat and the functioning of Snapchat?
I did. Can messages be accidentally sent to somebody else on Snapchat? Can the feds pull Snapchats back up? Can data forensics retrieve old Snapchat conversations from an iPhone? Can old opened Snapchats be found again after being seen in the state of Iowa? Does Snapchat save every message and picture I send, even if opened? What is received with a search warrant sent to Snapchat? Can a state investigator read through old Snapchat conversations? Snapchat saved messages. Can data forensics pull Snapchats up? What is Snapchat able to give to feds? What kind of conversations can data forensics pull back up? Even after a snap is already opened, can you use data forensics to see what the Snapchat was? Can I recover photos I deleted from my recently deleted album? Will deleting your Snapchat delete the DATs, which is dates? What's Snapchat cache? Are Snapchat messages encrypted? If you delete your Snapchat, can data forensics pick up anything from it? If I deleted pictures from my iPhone, can I still bring them back? They have opened my Snapchat, but their last seen time hasn't updated or location. If you log out of your Snapchat and log back in, does it show your location in the same spot, but turn it off? If you shut your location off, does it keep you in the same spot for 8 hours on Snapchat? Is Snapchat messages encrypted?
Moving on to some additional search history that you located. You've separated these out, it looks like, into 4 separate segments. Did you find then Google searches related to poisoning?
I did. What is the best way to poison somebody quickly? Is chloroform traceable? Cyanide. Sodium cyanide. Diphosphanone. Where to find arsenic?
And moving on to the area that you've deemed killing or searches related to killing, what did you find?
Yeah, what's the best gun to use to kill somebody? How do people get caught for shooting? How to positively get away with murder? The best way to kill somebody with no evidence? How much does it pay to dig a grave?
There were a couple searches related to
What?
locating a
What is that
lawyer.
one in
What's this
there?
final one marked date?
Father's Day 2021.
Did you attempt to locate search history then for Karina Cooper?
I did.
See what appears to be the Safari icon. Can you explain what Safari is?
Yeah, that's the built-in search engine for iPhone.
And so this is information.
Wait, that wasn't her search history? Whose search history was that then? I was gonna say, now I know why it's called Widow's Words. That wasn't hers? Was that his? Oh my God. Stupid. Stupid. Oh my God, these people are crazy.
Information that you're taking from her iPhone that you referenced previously.
Yes.
Were you able to locate relevant search history for Karina Cooper?
I was, but not between these dates.
All right. So it says gap in Safari search history from February 13, 2021 to June 1st, 2021. What does that mean?
It means there was no search history between those dates. Like I mentioned before, the pattern of life, every day prior to February 13th, almost every day there was a search, if not lots of searches. And then on June 1st and after, there was also a search almost every single day or multiple searches a day.
So you're talking about the pattern of life or historical use of the phone that you referenced previously.
Yes.
And so the pattern of life that you determined, so I understand, is prior to February 13th of 2021, on her phone there were how many searches? Or what kinds of searches?
General searches for, I don't know, anything and everything. Nothing stands out in particular.
But again, the pattern that you noted in terms of frequency of Safari searches?
Yeah, there was multiple prior to.
And then following June 1st, that pattern resumed?
Yes.
Do you have an explanation for the gap in Safari search history, or what would account for what you're seeing there?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled, you can answer.
Yeah, so it could either be deleted or, as I mentioned earlier with the private Safari, if you use that, it doesn't keep track of your history.
Oh, so she's smarter than him.
I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Ms. Watt, cross-examination?
Yes, is it possible to switch to my screen and let me just show you what I'm going to put up, I suppose. You wanna-
She's smarter than he is. She either used incognito mode or just deleted her searches or didn't search. What an idiot.
All right, so you want me to publish something from your screen?
Yes.
And Mr. Ringel, you've seen it for the state. The state has no objection?
Currently, no, and based on the representation of council, I do not.
Okay, let me know if something changes. All right, that should be your screen.
We'll see. I can't promise I did it right.
Well, I'm not getting a signal from you.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's not saying much.
I can't say I'd previously tested it, and
Let's try it again.
I can't pull it. I know I could get it to work on here, but I can't. The phones won't work on.
Be prepared. I hate it when lawyers
All
aren't
right.
prepared.
What if you don't use that?
This is what you do for a living.
But there's. Is there one? I'm not aware of one. USB in the back. But it's the small USB.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll hope this resolves quickly. While it is, feel free to stand up, stretch, converse amongst yourselves. We'll go off the record for a minute. Just jurors, we're going to ask that you stay here. Again, don't talk about the case, but you can chat or stretch or do whatever you'd like.
Well, that's just great. I'm not believing this. I jinxed it. I said how pretty it was out there today, and now it's black again, just like it was yesterday. Well, shoot. Well, I got our water park tickets. It's been raining in the afternoon. So if we get there early enough, we should have enough time. Have you guys used Meta yet? I kept seeing the commercial. Have you seen the commercial? The commercial is so cool. I was like, the commercial came on. I was like, Travis, come here, come here, come here. You got to watch this. It's so cool. The guy goes, there's an empty fishbowl, and the cat is sitting next to the fishbowl. And the guy goes, picks up his phone. He goes, Meta, Chuck ate Frank again. And Meta goes, the last time you replaced Frank, you went to like Fins and Friends or something like that. So he goes to this pet store and then he goes, Meta, I forgot what Frank looks like. Frank is a orange fan-tailed fish or something like that. So he goes, okay, bag it. So he gets the fish. He's in the car. And Meta goes, Chloe gets home from school in 15 minutes or whatever. So he gets home just in time. He takes the bag with the fish, pours it in the fishbowl, which you're not supposed to do, by the way, because you're supposed to acclimate the water, the fish, whatever. So he pours the fish in there just in time. Chloe comes in the house with one of those little portable fish bowls, fish containers, whatever, looks at the fishbowl and go. Oh, and first she says, "Everybody loved meeting Frank at school today," and then she looks at the fishbowl and goes, "Who's that?" It's such a funny commercial, but I was like, that AI is so cool if it really worked. So the other day I decided I was going to download Meta and check her out. And so I'm asking questions and it's just like, the rote normal AI things, where it's just like quoting off of a website or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, this is just a normal AI." And then it's like, let Meta get to know you better. And I was like, "Meta, how can you get to know me better?" And she goes, "Good question. Tell me some of your likes." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a live streamer and I stream court trials and I like theme parks." "Oh, well, tell me what you like about live streaming." And like we had a full-blown conversation for a full 30 minutes. I mean, a real conversation. I was like, "Oh my God, this is scary. The machines are really gonna take over." And I'm trying to keep this as superficial as I can. I don't need to be pouring out my innermost thoughts to AI because Lord knows what might happen. And I tend to overshare, as you guys know. So, what do you like about true crime? Um, I don't know, and I'm kind of uh disgusted and appalled that I find it entertaining. She's like, I'm like, this is better than a therapy. She's like, she's validating everything I say. She's making me feel better about myself. It's like, this is probably not a good thing. Should probably not feel so validated from an AI. This is probably not healthy at all. But she's still on my phone and I still use her because when I say Alexa and Alexa tells me something stupid or misunderstands what I say, which happens all the time, then I use Meta. So Amazon needs to get with the program. What? I'm assuming that Meta is related somehow to Amazon? Not Amazon, Facebook. Because isn't that like Meta? Isn't that like Facebook's company name or something? It is black in here again, guys. It was so sunny. An hour ago, it was sunny. What is that stupid storm doing now? I'll ask Meta. That's what I'll do. Let's ask Meta about the storm. Meta, where is the tropical storm in relation to Florida right now?
I'll see what I can find. There are no tropical cyclones in the Atlantic at this time, according to the National Hurricane Center. However, a tropical system is expected to develop later this week, potentially bringing higher than normal rain and thunderstorm activity to Florida. Additionally, Tropical Storm Flossie is currently located in the eastern Pacific, about 1,117 miles west of the southern tip of Baja California, but it's not a threat to Florida.
I thought there was a storm system right over Florida this weekend.
There's a possibility of a subtropical or tropical depression forming near Florida or off the southeast coast this weekend. According to the forecast, Saturday is expected to have a mix of sun and clouds with a slight chance of a rain shower, while Sunday might see scattered thunderstorms with a 50% chance of rain in some areas of Florida.
What about Orlando on Saturday? Is it going to be thunderstorms or just some rain showers?
I'll see what I can find. Orlando's weather on Saturday is expected to be partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, potentially bringing heavy rainfall with highs in the upper 80s. There's a 60% chance of rain, and winds will be around 5 to 10 miles per hour. At night, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 76 degrees and a 20% chance of precipitation.
What about in the morning? Is it going to be rainy?
Orlando's morning weather on Saturday is expected to be partly cloudy with isolated thunderstorms, and it's going to be humid with temperatures around 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a slight chance of rain showers, but nothing heavy, with precipitation probability ranging from 10 to 12% between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. The humidity will be around 85 to 91% during this time.
So would it be a good time to go to a water park?
It might not be the best idea to go to a water park on Saturday, considering the forecast calls for scattered thunderstorms and a 60% chance of rain in the afternoon. You'd likely want to avoid getting caught in the rain while trying to have fun in the water. If you're set on going to a water park, Sunday might be a better option, but it's best to check the latest forecast before making a final decision.
Is it too far in advance to know the weather for next weekend?
Let me check on this. It's a bit challenging to predict the weather for next weekend with high accuracy, but we can take a look at the general trends. According to the forecast, Orlando's weather for the following weekend, July 12th and 13th, is expected to be partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms and highs around 93 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a chance of precipitation, with some forecasts indicating a 40 to 60% chance of rain. Keep in mind that forecasts this far out can change, so it's always best to check closer to the date for more accurate information.
See? She's great. She's like so much better than Alexa. I love it. It's probably going to get me in trouble one day, though. I'm going to ask the wrong question or talk too much. And next thing I know, the FBI is going to be knocking on my door. Well, I have water park tickets that are good for a year. So we'll get to use them eventually. Maybe not till the fall. We went last October and it was beautiful. So we might have to wait till October. The only problem is we want to go to Typhoon Lagoon. And it's not going to be, they're shutting it down for refurbishment, I think in September. And last year we went in October. But Blizzard Beach will be open. And some people like Blizzard Beach better. But I like Typhoon Lagoon better. They have a wave pool where the waves are so big you can actually surf. They open early for surfers. I don't surf, but and they have a water roller coaster, which is really fun. They used to have a shark reef that you could swim in. I used to have a shirt. Dang, I don't know what happened to that shirt. It was Mushu from Mulan, and he had a mask and a snorkel on, and he was in the water, and there were shark fins circling him. And it said, "Contain your fear." I think it said, it was so cute. I don't know what happened.
All right. We have our jurors back, counsel, and parties present. And we have Detective Lord back at the stand. Again, I would just remind you that you're still under oath. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a trial without a technical issue, but I think we've got it resolved. And so with that, Ms. Watt, are you prepared to proceed with cross-examination?
Yes,
And do you want your screen displayed at this point?
please.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Okay. Is it Detective Lord?
Yes.
Okay, so Detective Lord, do you recognize the software I'm looking at here on the screen?
I do.
What is this?
This is actually Magna Axiom.
Okay. Is this, I think earlier in your testimony, you described how you have software that can take all the data off the phone and allow you to more easily go through what's on the phone.
Yes.
So, can't see my mouth. So these would be examples of everything that's on this phone being iPhone 8 Plus. So do you recognize this as Karina's iPhone?
I do.
Okay. And so, like you said, there's a lot of different, what we're calling artifacts.
Yes.
Okay. So that each artifact is a piece of data that's on the phone.
Yes.
Okay. So the questions I have for you are just sort of related to what I have found using this software, obviously without your expertise. But you mentioned just recently about a search history. So we've got this Safari search history. And is this right here, is this showing us what you're talking about? We've got a visit here on February 13th and then nothing until June 1st.
Yes.
Okay. And are you able to tell us whether the person actively deleted that or just wasn't using it? Do you know how that happens?
I can't say.
Okay. And then you mentioned that previous to that, there was always a text, or I'm sorry, not a text, a search regularly. But when I was, let's see, looking, sorry, I'll get there. So we're going to December of 2020. And we have a gap here as well, October 11th through December of 2020, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, there are other gaps on this phone. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, just not as big of gaps. And that's why I said, frequently, almost every day, not necessarily every day.
Okay. Right, because I mean, then here, obviously, again, shorter gaps, but here's another 5-day gap. About a month. Bottom line, there are other gaps.
Yes.
Okay. At I'm going to try. You can't, if you turn off the screen, then I can't see it. Do you have like a paper copy of your PowerPoint or anything? I can probably. So on here, we can, so we've got 2,400 Snapchats that we take from this phone. That's what this is telling us.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What this screen is showing us is that on Karina's iPhone 8 Plus, there were 2,409 messages still somewhere in the phone's data.
Yes.
Okay. And then if we search, am I searching? I'm searching on the wrong. 2758. So then, I know that on your PowerPoint here, in your demonstrative, you did, under Houston Danker's name, you have a number associated with it underneath his name. Is that his like Snapchat ID or number associated with his messages?
Yeah, it's the user ID.
Okay. So then this is how we see on here, on the actual software, where the messages are, right?
Yes.
Okay. My question for you is, so we've got Snapchat messages here. Right here, we have Snapchat Biome App Intents. So what are these?
Those
Did you guys hear that? That was loud. Whoa. That scared the crap out of me.
could be other deleted messages. It doesn't show you what the message is. So it just shows the phone that things are being sent out.
Okay. Just correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that a biome app intent is something that is generated on your phone anytime you send a Snapchat.
Possibly.
Okay. Because on all of these, as I'm sure you'll notice, it only says sent.
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain, I'll sort by date here. So clearly we can see there's a lot of other messages, but we just don't have content for them.
Correct.
Okay. What's that? Do you have any explanation or idea for how, I mean, obviously the phone knows that these messages are sent. Do you have any idea why we can't see the content of the messages?
I cannot. I didn't write the source for this application.
Okay, so that comes down to how Snapchat, how their software is written.
Yes.
Okay. But from this, at least for a given time frame that this phone was tracking, we have 876. Would you say it's safe to presume there were at least 876 messages going to Houston?
Yes.
Okay. And this doesn't tell us how many are being received without the content.
Correct.
Okay. Did you notice a similar pattern on Houston's iPhone 7, that we have some content, but then there's also lots of these app intents?
I don't recall.
Okay. I wanted to ask you as well, you mentioned that in your PowerPoint, you mentioned that these messages, at least I believe some of them, had been deleted. Can you just tell me where on all of this, how do you know that?
If you go back over to where it says carving, no, back to the right.
Okay.
It'll say, yeah, carving versus parsing.
Which one means what?
So the carving means that it is not in the database, it's in the not used part of the database versus the parsing. If you were to then pull out that database, you can actually see those messages within that.
Okay. So then I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. If it says parsing, it's not deleted?
Correct.
Okay. So I guess I don't know. Well, that's just the entire conversation table. Why does this show up as parsing? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, because the table still exists because that last message that was yup was not deleted.
Okay. Another question for you. When I was looking at the messages here, each message appears to have a message ID. Can you tell me or us what that means or indicates?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Because at times they appear to be in some sort of sequential order, but you don't know.
No, no.
Okay. Okay. You found a lot of searches on Houston's phone, both before and after the event. Did you find similar messages on Karina's phone? Or not messages, I'm sorry, searches?
No.
You testified, I think I might be done with the screen for now, Your Honor. You testified at the beginning that you had an HP computer, 3 iPhones and 6 for Karina and 6 iPhones for Houston Danker. Did you also get a watch?
I did.
Okay. And would that have been a watch that was being worn by Karina the night of murder?
That's what I was told.
Okay. Were you able to get anything from that watch?
I was not.
So when you're talking about steps then, and saying that within a 10-minute interval, she's taking 170 steps, is that generated, do we know? Is it generated from the phone or from the watch?
Those are from the phone.
Okay. Oh, was the watch some sort of, like a smartwatch at least?
Yeah.
Okay. And then with regard to the steps, is it accurate to say that when your phone is tracking it, it's always doing it in 10-minute increments?
No.
Okay. I'm looking at, all right. So then does that mean, so tell me how the time starts and the time ends then. Please explain that.
So when it detects movement is when it starts, and when it detects movement has stopped, then it stops.
Okay. So I suppose in the 10-minute interval we have here for Karina's phone, then the assumption would be that she starts moving at the first part of the timestamp.
Yes.
Okay. The wind-up Jake text message conversation, I assume you don't have any information who that person is?
I do not know.
Okay. Are we at all presuming that that's Houston Danker or no?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And then I saw we had screenshots of some sort of Hunter education website. Am I correct that website was last visited on December 17th of 2020?
That's what it stated.
Okay. Okay. And again, you're just producing the information that you find that you think could be relevant to the case. You don't have any other information about why these things might be on somebody's phone.
No. That's correct.
Correct, thank you. On your PowerPoint, you had some text messages, or I'm sorry, Snapchat messages that come from Houston's iPhone 7. Were those all of the messages between Houston and Karina from his phone?
I think on the first one, there was some other messages, if I'm recalling correctly, that were just small talk, but all of them have been put as the exhibit.
Which exhibit are you talking about when you say they've been put in the exhibit?
I provided the whole conversation in a PDF format.
Okay. Do you have that pulled up? All right, I'll move on for a second here. I think you might have answered this, but do we have any answer as to why we have some messages in March, then a gap, then some messages in mid-June, then a gap on Snapchat?
I can't say.
Okay. You had in there that there were some deleted photos the morning of, and you said those are just pictures of children?
Yes, both of those photos appear to be screenshots from Snapchat that someone sent. And yeah, both of them were pictures of kids.
Okay. On the Axiom magnetic software, where do you find those pictures? Are they on that?
Yeah, so if you were to search the image name, you can locate them.
Okay. As for the live photo that was viewed, do you know what that was?
Yes, that photo was just a kid running towards the camera.
Okay. I want 194. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I want to bring this up there. What's been marked as both the state exhibits, but I've also marked them Defendants A and Defendants B. Do you recognize these?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are their Snapchat conversations.
Do those, what's been marked as Defendants A and Defendants B, do they appear to be the reports you would have generated directly from the software?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move to enter into evidence what's been marked as Defendants A and Defendants B.
Since they were state's exhibits, I'm not anticipating an objection, but Mr. Ringel, any objection on behalf of the state?
That's correct, Your Honor, no objection.
All right, defendants exhibits A and B are admitted.
Okay. The one that I noticed in particular, and I can't put your PowerPoint back up right now, but do you remember the conversation about here's hoping for a rogue semi today? No, big accident, no survivors.
Yes.
Okay. And that was sent by Karina, March 8th, 2021, at 7:04 a.m. I'm reading from here, so,
Yeah.
okay. There was then a following message sent within that same minute from Karina. My mind is pretty fucking dark and twisted too, honey. Divorce me. Do you remember that message?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Well, she's talking about, well, I won't characterize it. Oh, on some of the messages on the PowerPoint, or not the messages, the Google searches, maybe you already answered this, but some didn't have dates or times. Is that because the phone didn't know, or how's that work?
I don't know. It's, if things are deleted too, sometimes timestamps can go away, so.
If what gets deleted?
If the, if the URL gets deleted, so whatever you searched, if you delete the history.
Okay. Is it fair to say then that what we have here in your PowerPoint and with the addition of these is pretty much the sum and substance of what you found on these phones that was relevant to this case?
Judge, I'm going to object. I believe this witness is in a position to testify to what's relevant in the case.
Okay.
Overruled, witness can answer.
everything that I presented in the PowerPoint is.
Okay. I was just making sure there wasn't something else that you thought wasn't, that you would have thought was important that wasn't included.
Not that I remember.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Engel, redirect.
None, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Detective Lord, you may step down.
I forgot to ask you if you wanted something.
The state calls DCI agent Ryan Herman.
All right.
And Judge, there is going to be some media associated with this witness, so we'll need to get it reconnected.
Come on up, sir. Go ahead and have a seat. I'll swear you in once you're seated. All right, if you would raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in these proceedings will be the truth? All right, and then for the record, can you please provide us with your first name and your last name and spell them?
Ryan Herman, RyanHerman.
All right, and before we go any, did you need to reconnect anything, or you think you're good to go?
I'll take care of it in a moment.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, then whenever you're ready, Mr. Engel.
Thank you. Agent Herman, could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ryan Herman, HERMAN.
Just want to double check. How are you employed, sir?
Good.
How are you employed?
I'm employed by the Iowa Department of Public Safety, Division of Criminal Investigation. I'm a special agent assigned to the Major Crime Unit in Mason City.
How long have you been employed by the DCI?
I've been a DCI agent since April of 2011. I've been assigned to the Major Crime Unit since October of 2014.
Could you talk about your education and training that qualifies you for that work?
After high school, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I spent 4 years serving in the Marine Corps as an infantryman. In the summer of 2006, I got out of the Marine Corps to attend Mankato State University in Minnesota, where I achieved or earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Mankato State University. In the fall of 2010, I was hired by the Iowa Department of Public Safety as a DCI agent to attend the 35th Basic Academy in Des Moines. I graduated from the academy in April of 2011, and then I was assigned to the Gaming Bureau. Every casino in Iowa has DCI agents at the facilities, so I was in that role for approximately 3.5 years prior to being promoted to the Major Crime Unit in October of 2014.
Can you talk a little bit about your general duties there at the DCI?
DCI agents, we are an assist agency, so we assist local jurisdictions, sheriff's offices within my unit specifically, typically felony level cases. We can work anything from general death investigations, homicides, officer-involved shootings, theft cases, child pornography cases. Usually it's felony level cases.
So when you're assigned to investigate a case, what type of steps are you taking? What type of investigation do you typically do?
It depends on the investigation. It's really, we'll conduct interviews depending on the circumstances. We may, a DCI agent will process the scene themselves, depending on the circumstances. We may utilize the crime scene team out of Ankeny in some cases. We do everything from interviews, neighborhood canvassing. I mean, it just depends. Each case is a little different.
All right. Were you assigned to investigate the death of Ryan Cooper in June of 2021?
Yes, I received a phone call at approximately 6:30 a.m. on Friday, June 18th, 2021, from my direct supervisor, Special Agent in Charge, Rick Rahn, and Rahn is R-A-H-N. SAC Ron informed me that the Tama County Sheriff's Office was requesting the assistance of the DCI with a death investigation in rural Tama County, and asked that I make my way to Tama County to assist, and then he informed me that I would be the case agent in this particular case.
What is a case agent?
A case agent is the direct liaison. So when a law enforcement agency calls the DCI, an agent will be assigned as the case agent to assist directly with that department. So in this case, I was the direct liaison with the Tama County Sheriff's Office. I would have been essentially the face of the DCI for that case. You are the individual that gives out leads, makes certain decisions in certain cases. You're essentially the manager of that case for the DCI.
Gave a brief outline of the information that you had received from Rick Ron, the special agent in charge. Did you have any additional information at that time?
I got information that we had a male decedent identified as Ryan Cooper, who was found dead in his recliner chair in his living room, and that his wife, 3 children, and his brother were present on scene.
Is that essentially the sum of the information you had then at that time as you began your investigation?
Yes, from where I lived at that time to my arrival in Toledo, Iowa, it took about approximately an hour and a half, so there was a phone call and that information was provided to me. So I didn't get any more information until I arrived in Toledo.
What were the initial steps then, or the initial step that you took in your investigation?
The first thing I did was interview Karina Cooper, which would have been the wife of Ryan Cooper.
And heading into that interview, what is the nature or purpose of that interview?
She was present, or she was the one who had found Ryan, and we wanted to basically get an overall information of what happened, if she saw anything, heard anything. You know, the person who makes the 911 call is typically a pretty good place to start. And we knew that she was present. Obviously, she's the wife of Ryan. It happened in their home. It's a logical place to start.
At this point, the information that you provided, is that your understanding of essentially that was more or less the sum total of information law enforcement had collectively?
That's the information that I had. I would say that's accurate to say that law enforcement as a whole, that's about the information that they had.
Did you know at this point anything regarding the cause of Ryan Cooper's death?
No.
We just heard extensive testimony regarding Snapchat communications, cell phone searches, search history, etc. Were you aware of any of that information? Is that information that was available to law enforcement at the time that you did this first and second interview, or did that take place much later in time?
Upon my arrival to begin the first interview, I didn't know anything about that. There was information that came in during my initial interview and then throughout the first few days of the investigation, but then the majority of what you're speaking to is later in the investigation.
So to be clear, the information we just talked about with regard to the cell phones was not information in possession of law enforcement when you completed these interviews?
Correct.
So you stated that you interviewed Karina Cooper on this was on June 18th?
Yes, it was the morning of June 18th.
So approximately what time did that interview take place?
9:39 a.m. is when I started my recording.
We've heard testimony that Karina Cooper called Aaron Cooper at around 4:30, so it's approximately 5 hours later.
Yes.
Where did the interview take place?
The interview was at the Tama County Sheriff's Office.
What's your initial approach to the interview? What information are you trying to determine?
Really just trying to find out what Karina knew, what Karina had heard, get some background information on her, on Ryan, on the family, really just general information, and then ask her kind of what's going on, find out what's going on with Ryan's death.
When you started this interview with Karina, was this a criminal investigation or essentially unknown?
Unknown.
So did you then ask her, when you first met with her, what had happened that night?
Yes, so the conversation started, we spoke briefly about her children, the marriage, the fact that Ryan and her had been together for approximately 15 years, and they had been married for about 12. I think we briefly talked about how he grew up in the Toledo area, or Traer area, and she grew up in Dysart, which in proximity is fairly close to each other. I got a lot of background information for Ryan essentially being a farmer, and she ran a hair salon out of the a building, an outbuilding on their property at the residence.
What's the purpose of obtaining all that information?
Background, just to, you know, try to get to know them, try to solicit information from her, just general information of, you know, who's all in the house, who's in the family, things like that.
After you've obtained this background information, did you then move forward to attempting to find out what she knew about the death of her husband?
Yes, we spoke. One of the questions I had right away was, you know, why is Ryan sleeping on the recliner? What's the situation with that? So we spoke in depth about how he has a snoring problem, and he sleeps on the recliner and has for an extended amount of time. I believe she said, essentially when their youngest child was born, which would be, she would have been about 4 at that time, that he had been sleeping on the recliner basically that entire time, or sleeping in the living room that entire time, also due to the snoring. And she indicated that there's always children in the bed, and there has been children in the bed with her for a number of years.
Did you ultimately ask her then the series of events that led to her discovering her husband's body?
Yes, she said she ran through kind of the breakdown of the evening. I believe she said that there was her oldest son at a baseball game. They returned from the baseball game and kind of did their baseball game kind of ritual of everybody taking showers, everybody having dinner. She said that she was the last one to take a shower, and she thought that she had gotten into bed around 9 or 10 o'clock p.m. on that evening. She said that she sits in her bed and reads on a Kindle, a tablet. I think everyone knows what a Kindle is, but it's a tablet where you read books. And she was reading on her tablet, and she got up to use the bathroom, what she thought was around midnight, maybe 11:30, goes back to bed and falls asleep.
Bye, Jill.
And then
Be
she
careful.
wakes up again at approximately
Happy
3
4th of
a.m. She's
July.
not really sure exact time frame. At that time, she uses the restroom a second time, and then goes back to sleep. She noted that when she got up at around the midnight, 11:30 time frame, the TV was still on, I believe, and she heard Ryan snoring. And then again at 3 o'clock, she remembers that the TV was off, the room was dark, and she heard Ryan snoring at that time as well. She says after she uses the restroom, she goes right back to bed, lays down, falls asleep, isn't in what she would call a deep sleep, but is awoken by a crashing sound. She said that she instantly thought it was, they had a wire shampoo caddy that sticks to the wall in the shower where you put your shampoo and your soap. That caddy or that wire rack had fallen in the bathroom a few days prior, and she remembers because it scared her, and she thought that that was maybe what that sound was. So she goes into the bathroom, checks out, sees that the caddy had not fallen, goes in, walks out of the bathroom, walks into the kitchen area, looks out the kitchen window, and doesn't see anything out of the ordinary out in the dooryard, and then proceeds to go back through the house to the living room. She goes in the living room where Ryan is. She made a comment that she was kind of upset that he didn't get up because she thought this loud noise, and she didn't know what it was, and usually he gets up when something like that happens. And so she goes in there to turn on the light, and then she at first thinks he's just sleeping, and then she notices all the blood.
Did she talk to you about her actions after she first noticed Ryan?
I remember she said that she, at one time, looks on him to see if she sees any markings or any, she can't understand where the blood is coming from. I remember she said that she freaked out. She screams, which I believe the scream caused her son, who was sleeping upstairs, to come downstairs. And she was concerned that something had happened or somebody was maybe in the house. She wasn't sure. So she locks the older boy into the bedroom with the two younger children. And I don't recall if she goes in with them at that point, but she ends up at one point in the room with all three kids locked in the bedroom, and she places a call to Aaron Cooper, who is Ryan's brother.
Did she explain to you what she thought might be going on at that point?
She didn't know. She thought possibly somebody was in the house, something had happened, and she was scared that somebody was in the house.
And you had said that there was some conversation about her attempting to determine what happened to Ryan. Did she tell you she was unable to determine what had happened to Ryan?
Yeah, she said that she looked on his face and couldn't tell if there was any bumps or bruises, cuts, anything like that. She couldn't understand why he was bleeding so much.
Prior to this interview, had you listened to the 911 call or reviewed the dispatch logs that indicated information provided by Karina Cooper to the 911 dispatcher?
I believe I listened to the 911 call during a break that I took toward the latter part of the interview. During this part of the interview, I don't think I had listened to the 911 call at that point.
And we've heard or received evidence in this case that she told the 911 dispatcher that her husband had been shot. Did she ever tell you that?
Not during that first interview.
And instead, she stated she wasn't sure and was trying to look and figure out what was going on?
Correct.
So she said, as part of your interview, are you attempting to determine a timeline of events?
Yes.
What's the purpose of attempting to develop that timeline?
It allows us to have a better idea of the totality of everything, from the time the 911 call happens to the time the interview happens. Let me back up. From the time that the incident happens to the 911 call, we want to know kind of what that time frame is between discovery of an incident to the 911 call.
So she says she hears this noise, she gets up, she believes it's something in the bathroom, she looks out the kitchen window, and eventually she goes in and discovers Ryan's body. She starts screaming, she's retreated with Cade to a bedroom, is that correct? And
Correct.
Aaron Cooper.
Correct.
Did she tell you what she did next?
I believe it was kind of chaotic for her as far as how the events played out, but she at one point climbs onto Ryan Cooper, and she said she remembered when Aaron shows up. Aaron comes in from the dining room area of the house behind her, and she's laying on top of Ryan.
Did she tell you why she did that?
I don't recall.
Any additional information she was able to provide you about her initial response to finding Ryan Cooper dead?
Not that I can recall.
In discussing Ryan's sleeping patterns, did she talk about whether he was a heavy sleeper or if he would be up moving around in the night?
She said that he typically falls asleep fairly early, and then will sleep maybe till like midnight, and then be up between midnight and 2 or midnight and 3 and watch TV, and he would be up and about throughout the evening. That's about all she said about his, as far as how deep he sleeps. I don't think we talked about that.
Okay. Did you recall her making a comment that he's up roaming in the night like his father?
Yes.
Did this information prompt any further questions or inquiry on your part?
I guess nothing specific.
So at this point, you're really just trying to gain an understanding of what had occurred from Karina.
Correct.
Did you ask if there was anyone that she was aware of that would want to hurt Ryan?
I did. She said no.
What's the purpose of asking that question?
At this point in the investigation, we don't know exactly what is happening or what had happened. There's still a lot of investigating to do, information to do. And so in the event that this is a violent crime or something with malice, we want to know who are Ryan Cooper's enemies? Who are the people that he's fighting with? Who could possibly have done this?
And she stated that she wasn't aware of anyone?
Correct.
Did you ask her if she had any firearms or weapons in the house?
Yes, she did say that when she went into the bedroom with the kids prior to calling Ryan's brother Aaron, that she attempted to remove a firearm from a small safe that was in her closet. She was unable to do so. She said that she's not familiar with the gun, has never shot the gun, doesn't know how to use it, and she couldn't even get the safe open to retrieve the firearm.
Did you ask her specifically if she knew how to shot the gun or if she's ever used it, or did she volunteer that information?
She volunteered that information.
As part of your interview, are you making observations of her demeanor?
Yes.
For what purpose?
Just to see how she's reacting to questions or how she's just her general attitude during that conversation.
Any initial observations that you thought were important at that time?
She seemed to be doing a lot of crying, but I didn't see a lot of tears.
Were you familiar with the name Houston Danker when you went into this interview?
On the break in the interview, I think about an hour into the interview, we take a short break, and I think during that break is when the name Houston Danker is brought to my attention.
And what information did you have about Houston Danker?
It was talked about while Karina is being interviewed, Aaron Cooper is being interviewed at the same time, and Aaron brought up Houston Danker's name, and that there was a Snapchat that had been viewed by Ryan on Karina's phone, and it was from Houston, and it was details or the information on.
Sustained.
Judge may respond.
Why didn't they ask Aaron when he was on the stand? If it's hearsay from Aaron, then why didn't they ask Aaron when Aaron was on the stand? Then it wouldn't be hearsay. That was a missed opportunity, unless they call him back. Did they release him from his subpoena? They can call him back if they didn't release him. Or even if they did, he can come back on his own if he wants to. If it was my brother, I'd want to.
Agent Herman, you received some information that it sounds like there was a Snapchat message or something involving Houston Danker, and this information was provided by Aaron Cooper, correct?
Correct.
Did that prompt you then to ask Karina about Houston Danker and her relationship with Houston Danker?
Yes.
What was the purpose of you asking that question?
The information was that she may have had an affair or that there was some sort of romantic relationship or physical relationship between Houston and Karina.
How or why would that be relevant to your investigation?
Well, typically, husbands and boyfriends don't get along very well, typically. And so there's the information that Karina might be seeing someone else, and maybe Ryan knows about it. There could be a conflict between those two that Karina didn't disclose to us at the beginning of the conversation.
The interview that you completed then on the morning of June 18th with Karina Cooper, was that recorded?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to view the recording that was completed?
Yes.
Did it fairly and accurately capture the conversation you had with Karina Cooper on that morning?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, the state would move to admit and publish portions of move to admit and publish State's Exhibit number 197, which is portions of the interview completed with Karina Cooper.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, then State's Exhibit 197. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, 197 is admitted, and we'll see if we can get this to play.
And Judge, I will need to retrieve that HDMI
All
cable
right,
from
why don't you go ahead and do that? Let me know when you're ready.
Wait, it's catching up.
Judge, to correct the record, that is actually Exhibit 196 on the filed exhibit list.
All right. So any objection to 196?
Still no objection.
All right, and we'll unadmit 197. All right, 196 then is admitted.
Look at this, guys. All of this is notes on the Karina trial, and I even quit taking notes before it was over. Look at all of this. Hey, Carla. I saw you pop in at the end of the last stream. Sorry about that. I saw you pop in as soon as I hit the end stream button. I didn't even have a chance to say hi. Now what's going on? More tech crap.
I'm going to be showing you the initial portion of your video where you were discussing what had occurred on the morning of June 18th, 2021.
You ready for me to try to publish this?
Yes, Judge.
All right. All right, we don't have the big screen. Let's try it again. There we go.
So,
It's showing the desk.
Sorry.
Judge, it's showing the desktop screen versus the exhibit. I think because we had switched the HDMI cable to defense table.
So is there something you were wanting me to do?
Give me one moment. I wasn't sure if it was an issue on your end or ours.
you said that last night your daughter was kind of fussy and
Okay, my options up here are left and right.
Understood.
I'm on left, so. All right, let's go off the record for a second. Hopefully this will be quicker, ladies and gentlemen. Just sit tight. Feel free to stand up and stretch.
It's not like tech is brand new. You know, I get
Yeah,
it.
I
They
just
don't
went to them. It was,
teach tech in law school.
well,
But
All right, we'll
shouldn't
try it
they
again.
take some tech classes or something so they learn how to do all this? If they're going to use it as exhibits in court and stuff? I mean, if you're going to have to use it for your job, you need to take a class to learn how to do it. Is she wearing her jail scrubs just under like a blazer? Is she not like completely dressed in street clothes?
Yeah.
Does she just have a blazer on over her jail clothes? 'Cause that looks like a scrub top. I just now noticed that.
Seat, ladies and gentlemen.
And it looks too big for her, too.
You able to get to where you need to go? Hopefully you can get it back.
Well, then they need better interns. You know, that was the one thing in the Karen Reed trial is they were on point. They had the tech people there. Well, and in the Phil Spector trial, too, their tech people are on the ball. They have designated tech people, and they say, can you do such and such, and it gets done right then. Is it, well, I was going to say, is it bigger courtrooms? But the one in Dedham, that's not a big courthouse. That's a small town, right? Isn't it? I mean, LA, yeah, that's big, but Dedham.
Mr. Ringo, I don't want to rush you. Do you need a minute? Should we just take a break? Yes. All right. I was thinking maybe we'd not need another break, but this is 3 o'clock. We'll just take our standard mid-afternoon 15-minute break now. And again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would remind you of that admonition.
Um, I read earlier Michael Madsen, the actor Michael Madsen, he passed away. He was in. Okay, why do I have a notification from Meta?
It looks like Meta is reaching out. What's the notification about?
What, Meta?
Meta builds technologies that help people connect, find communities, and grow businesses. The company's primary products include Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp, in addition to other products and services.
What's the notification about?
Without more context, it's hard to say exactly what's in the notification. Is it about an update, a message, or maybe something related to one of Meta's platforms?
What is happening?
There are several developments happening globally.
I don't care. I don't care. Great, I've created a monster. What was I saying? Michael Madsen. He's been in a bunch of Tarantino movies. He was in Reservoir Dogs. He was in Kill Bill. Oh, I can't remember what all he was in. And I don't think they know the cause of death yet. I think it was like really recent, like yesterday. I think he was 67. And he was writing a book, too. It's so sad. Come here. You're such a brat. You don't want to say hi? Everybody loves you. Everybody wants to see you. Come here. Come here. Come here. You're such a brat. I'll ask them. You know what they'll tell me? They'll tell me they want to see you. There she is. There she is. There she is. There she is. There's the kitty. Say hi. Say hi. Hope you're just gonna flick that tail because you're mad at mommy. I don't like to be held. Well, get up there and look at the camera. Look up here. Look up here. Shadow, right here. Look right. Look right there. Right there. Right here. Look right here. Stick your face right there. Quit hitting me with your tail. Can you quit hitting me with your tail, please? Can you quit? Can you quit hitting me with your tail, please? Bye. See you later. Belle went to sleep. She's hiding in the laundry room. She does not like storms. She's gotten better. She's gotten better since she's gotten older. Now my face is itching. I got cat hair in my mouth from getting hit in the face with a tail. When Belle was a puppy, I was not a dog person when I got married. So the dogs came with Travis. Not literally. One came with Travis, but then he brought the puppies home one at a time. So I wasn't used to having puppies. And we got her. Her birthday was in May. I don't remember when we actually got her. So she was a puppy 4th of July, the year we got her. And we were doing firecrackers. And she was outside with us. And I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention because I wasn't used to having a puppy. And she got just a tad too close. Not close enough to get hurt, but close enough that the firecracker went off and scared her. And her whole life, she's been afraid of loud noises. And I don't blame her. I blame me. So that big clap of thunder a while ago that scared me scared her, and that's why she came running in here. And that's why I picked her up, because I knew that's what it was. She was afraid of that thunder. But she's uncomfortable. She's not a lap dog. She's a beagle, so she's not a big beagle, but she's hard to hold. She's not a lap dog, so she's uncomfortable in my lap. But she's over here. The laundry room has no windows, so she's over here hiding in the laundry room now, close to me, because she's afraid of the storm. Although it stopped, and the sun's coming back out, because it's Florida, and that's what Florida does. The weather changes every 15 minutes. I think that me not having my own kids was a good decision. I hate planning things with a passion. Just trying to plan a trip to the movies with those two girls is, I can't even think of a word bad enough to describe it. It's like all four of us speak and all four of us hear a different thing. I don't understand it. And they're not even kids anymore, they're adults. It's crazy. We're going to the movies. We're going to see the new Jurassic World movie. We have seen every Jurassic World movie in the theater. We rarely go to the movie theater because it's so expensive. We just wait until it comes out on streaming or DVD or whatever, usually. I'm not. Because of the fibromyalgia and my back, it's not extremely comfortable for me either. So it's easier for me. Plus, you got food at home. You can pause it and go to the bathroom. It's just, I mean, I know for some people it's like the experience of going to the movies, but it's more comfortable for me to just watch a movie at home. I'm not big on the movie theater experience, but the girls are. They go to see everything in the movie theater. Everything. As soon as it comes out, if it's a movie they want to see, they're there. To me, it's just a waste of money. I wait for it to come. Wait for it to come to me. I got so mad at Disney Plus when Disney Plus, probably the first or second year of Disney Plus, when Disney movies would come out in the theater. This might have been during the Panda, actually. It might have been during the Panda. When movies would come out to go to the theater. Well, no, because during the Panda, they didn't have movies in the theater, did they? I don't think so. I think they closed the theaters. Anyway, it was when Mulan. It was when the live action Mulan came out. They were charging you on Disney Plus. Like, you already subscribed to Disney Plus. They were charging like $30, $20 and $30 to watch movies that were in the theater on Disney Plus. But then when it came out on streaming, you could watch it with the price of your subscription to Disney Plus. I was like, heck no, I'm not paying extra for it now. I'll just wait until it comes out on streaming. What do they must have some gullible people that's watching Disney Plus that thinks they're going to pay extra. I'm not paying extra to watch it early. Crazy people. Sound. Mic's on.
There we go. Back after our afternoon recess, and Detective Herman, I just remind you that you're still under oath, and we have jurors, counsel, and parties here. Mr. Ringel, you may resume. Are you wanting me to start with this, or did you have a question, or where are we at?
Yes, Judge, no, just a reminder that this is the first portion of your interview where you're asking Karina what occurred the night of the murder.
So, you said that last night your daughter was kind of fussy and wasn't going to bed, so between 10 and midnight.
She went to sleep fine. She, every once in a while, has like, I don't even want to call them night terrors, but it was like she was having a bad dream. So she was kind of fussing in her sleep. She wouldn't wake up, and so I was just kind of up in between reading my book with her, and I know it was close to midnight before I put it down.
Okay. Anything else kind of off or just strange about last night?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. So you fall asleep between midnight. You think that you get up around 3 because that's your kind of your usual
normal time.
Okay. And then you go back to bed.
I shut the door, the kids are in there, and I went back to sleep.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like I was like hard asleep when there was it sounded like something crashed in the kitchen. It sounded like something falling, which seems to happen a lot in that house. But the house is torn apart right now because we're working on it. I've got stuff sitting everywhere.
Okay.
It was loud.
Like help me out here. Was it?
So we have a wire rack in the shower, and it's on a suction hook thing, and it fell a couple days ago, and it was loud, and it sounded just like that. Not just like that, but loud like that, like a racket.
So no sounds of like glass breaking or anything like that. Just kind of a loud, like you said, a ruckus.
Yes.
Okay. And that woke you up, or that?
It scared me.
Okay.
Kind of laid there for a second. See if kids woke up, which they didn't. It seems like there's always something stupid once a week that him and I get up and see because of the highway or something. I got up and I peeked in the living room and he was laying there, and I went to the kitchen and turned the light on in the living room, and then he's gone.
Okay.
I looked in there first before I went to the kitchen, and it looked like he was sleeping.
Okay.
I swear I heard him snore.
Did you happen to see him when you got up to go to the bathroom? Did you happen to see him there then? Do you remember?
You have to look around the corner to see him.
Okay, so you didn't go and see him at that time? Okay.
He went to the bathroom.
Okay. So you said that you get up, you hear the noise, you wait there for a minute, you get up, and you go out, you see him sitting there, then you go and turn on the light to the kitchen?
I went in the kitchen, there's always a light on in there, so they didn't turn on the light. I went in the kitchen and looked out the window over the sink.
Okay.
Towards the driveway, looked around the living room or the kitchen. There's nothing on our walls anywhere because we've been painting and everything. I didn't see anything, so I went in and I don't know if I said his name or not.
Okay.
I turned on the light and it didn't look like he was sleeping.
Okay. So when you turn on the, did you turn the light on in the living room there?
The table lamp, yeah.
The table lamp?
Yes. I scared my kids so bad.
Yeah. So when you turn on the light, what exactly do you remember seeing?
It just looked like he was sleeping.
Okay.
And then I walked up to him to touch his foot, and there's blood, like, everywhere. Like, a lot. I started screaming, like, a lot.
Okay.
And I knew I scared the kids because Kate came running down. I don't know what I thought. I thought somebody was in the house. I put them in my bedroom and told them to lock the door. And I called Aaron.
And Aaron lives just down the road, right? Okay. So you said you tried to touch his foot, or you touched his foot to try to wake him up?
I think so. That's usually what I do is shake his toe.
Okay. So let me backtrack. When you see him for the very first time, he's sitting in the chair like he's sleeping.
He's reclined in the chair and looks like he's sleeping.
Okay. And
Blankets on him.
where's the blanket on him? Like over him? Like over his chest?
Yeah.
Okay.
His feet always stay out. I swear he was snoring.
Okay. So, when you notice it, obviously, you see the large amount of blood, and you realize that something's wrong, right? Do you make any attempt at, do you touch him? Do you?
I crawled on him. I hit him. I think I was shaking him and screaming in his face to wake up.
Okay.
He fell on the floor next to him because I think he slipped. And I think I was hitting him.
You think you were hitting
I
him?
think I kept hitting him, trying to get him to wake up. Shaking him.
Okay.
Holding his face.
Like hitting his chest?
I don't know, grabbing his shirt or his blanket up to wake up.
Okay.
Can you quit screaming so he can understand you?
So you said you thought that maybe somebody was in the house?
That's what I thought.
Did you hear any other sounds or commotions or anything other than the one that woke you up?
No, nothing.
Like,
Cars go by all time of the night, but I didn't see it. I looked out the kitchen window. I didn't see anything.
okay. No sounds of like the front door slamming shut or
No,
anyone running down your deck or down your steps or anything like that?
no, nothing.
Okay. Okay. So, after trying to wake him up or get his attention, you said you called Aaron?
I called Aaron before. Well, I touched him or whatever. And then I just remember I started screaming and screaming. And Kate came down. So I told him to get in my room with the other two kids, and I called Aaron from in there.
Inside the room?
Yeah, I think I locked the bedroom. I was in and out. I went in and locked it, and then I thought I had to go call Brian. I didn't know if somebody was there. I tried to get my stupid gun that I don't even know how to work and have never shot out of the safe that he said we had to have, and I couldn't even get the thing open. It's in our bedroom closet.
Okay. And how big of a safe is it? Just a little?
Just a one security type
Okay.
handgun safe that I don't even know how to open.
Okay. And
So
you couldn't get it open?
I don't think so.
Did you ever actually get the gun out of the safe?
No.
Okay.
I touched the safe, I think, because it's some stupid fingerprint thing, I think, and I put my finger on it and nothing happened, and I was screaming, and
Okay.
I called Aaron. He said he was on his way, and I went back out.
Okay.
I told the kids to stay in the room, but they wouldn't, so I kept going back in there to take them in because I didn't want them to see.
Yeah.
And I was scared. I didn't know if somebody was there.
Okay.
All right, that's the first portion of the interview that you completed. Did you then, as you discussed, ask if Karina had any relationship issues or what the relationship was between Karina and Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. And that portion was captured during the recording as well?
Correct. So nothing out of the ordinary with Ryan's behavior yesterday? Okay.
Perfectly normal day.
What about in the last few days or like the last week? Is there anything out of the ordinary with him or maybe between the two of you or anything like that? No?
Better than we have been in a while. Kids are finally getting older and we can breathe again.
Yeah.
He's got a lot on his plate right now with the shops going up and His mom passed away a year ago, so some shift in responsibilities with the farm, but
Is his dad still with us?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Other than Aaron, how many siblings does he have?
he's got a sister and aunts
Okay.
that's about 10 years older than him.
What's her name?
Michelle
Michelle. Is it Cooper? Is she still?
Wilson.
Wilson? Okay.
He's just works. So he's been side dressing and bailing. He's busy. We both are always going or working, not really going. If I'm not with the kids, I'm working. I have a side business and I make soap and stuff. We just work and stay home.
Okay. You mentioned that things have been better now recently than they were in the past.
Not that they've been bad. We're just finally getting to spend some time together again and not have a child all the time on top of us.
Yeah.
Never been bad.
No real issues between the two of you? Okay.
We didn't get married till we were mid-30s. We've been through all that garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage. Oh my God. What the?
We had plans.
Plans for what?
Just everything.
Okay.
We wanted to buy a lake house. We were gonna last year and it didn't work out. And then the ratio hit. And we decided that it was a blessing in disguise because then we were putting up a shop sooner than we thought. We'd wait a few years. Just had plans. We're 40 years old and we still have a 4-year-old and we just joked all the time about hoping that we were alive long enough to retire. Go do things.
Your story makes no sense.
Agent Herman, just briefly, and then I'll play another clip from your video. There's someone else there in the room with you, obviously. Who is that person?
That would have been Special Agent in Charge Rick Ron.
And throughout your interview with Ms. Cooper, were there portions you said you weren't certain what had occurred yourselves, what the nature of the injury was? Were there portions of your interview where you spoke to her about essentially the fact that you didn't know what happened to Ryan?
Yes, we talked about that it could be a medical situation. We briefly discussed if she had any thoughts that maybe it was a suicide by Ryan or anything like that.
You stated to Ms. Cooper that it could potentially be a medical situation?
We'd said we didn't know, and we've seen cases where this is a result of a medical emergency as opposed to something violent or something malicious.
Considering that she had indicated to 911 that her husband had been shot, did she ever correct you or offer any information as to what she believed happened to him?
No.
All right, returning then to the next portion of your video clip, did you ask or did SAC Ron ask additional questions regarding her relationship with her husband?
Yes, he did.
Again, not to be personal, okay, but again, these are things we need to ask, just try to figure this thing out. Has there been any marital issues between the two of you?
Oh, we had a rough patch shortly after his mom passed away where we weren't getting along. There wasn't any real issue. We were just both sad and mad and not communicating.
And it's something how the ones you love the most, those are the ones sometimes you treat the worst.
I'm
sometimes.
a talker and he's not, and I was always pushing to, breathe, whatever, talk. And he shuts down and
Okay.
nothing where there was ever any doubt about our marriage.
Okay, so no affairs of any kind?
No.
By him or by you? And the only reason I ask is if someone went in and did something to him, and again, we don't know, could be that, could be medical, we don't know. I'm just thinking about like the scorned lover type of thing or anything
Never.
like that.
No.
Okay. So there's no
We
no
don't
concerns
go
with that for
anywhere,
you?
we don't do anything. He might go to the bar after work with his friend Riley, and he's never home past 8. That's how exciting we are. It's, like
We're
I
the
said,
same way.
we weren't talking and getting along, but we finally talked it out, and there was never
Never any issues like that?
never.
Okay.
I know I never worried about it. I don't think either one. It's just, like I said, he's been divorced. We got married in our 30s. We didn't.
And further along in your interview, did you again ask her to recount, or did she provide further details or a retelling of what had occurred the night that Ryan died?
Yes.
We got to kind of regroup here. We're going to try our best to get to the bottom of this, okay? You know, and again, we don't know. It could very well be, like I said, a medical thing, because we've seen that before. And he is how old? 42. Or something else could happen. That's what we're here to try to find out and figure out. But basically, to rehash things, just to make sure, you hear this noise, you get up, you think at the time it sounded very similar to the wire rack that had fallen in the shower a couple days earlier. But you went around, didn't see anything, hear anything unusual, didn't hear any cars speeding away, didn't hear any talking or communicating that was going on inside the house at all.
Nothing.
Is it a one-story, two-story home?
Story and a half.
Story and a half. And you didn't see anybody flee or anything like that?
No.
Nothing that gave you concern that at least someone was still in the home? Or did you think at the time someone was in there?
I don't know. I was just nervous, just scared.
Okay.
I don't really feel like I thought anybody was in the house until I saw him.
Okay.
And I saw blood.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just started screaming.
Okay. Give us a couple of minutes here and we'll be back, okay? You sure you don't need anything?
She recounted her story. At any point, did she talk to you about sending Snapchat messages with Houston Danker at 3:30 in the morning?
No.
Did she ever mention using her phone or deleting photos?
No.
Did she talk about anything that would explain taking over a football field worth of steps?
No.
You said that in your prior testimony you took a break and at that point found out some information about an individual named Houston Danker and asked follow-up questions related to that, correct?
Yes.
And we just saw you in the video getting up to take your break, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to play the remaining portion of your video.
As Rick said earlier, we don't know what happened. Like he said, we don't know if this is a medical thing. We don't know if something bad happened or if something did something to Ryan. And that's obviously what we're trying to figure out. One of the questions I have is, do you know anyone that would have any reason to hurt him?
No.
Has he had any issues with anybody?
No, nobody. He doesn't hurt anybody.
Okay. I know you said that he is usually home by 8 o'clock, but sometimes goes to the bar with Riley.
Once in a while, yeah.
Has he talked about maybe somebody he ran into at the bar, that maybe there was... I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. You know, if anyone is going to come into your house and do something to him,
Nobody.
can't think of anybody?
Everybody loves him.
Okay.
He just works all the time and comes home.
What can you tell me about your relationship with Houston?
Danker?
Yeah.
My friend?
Okay. And I'll
I'm going to be blunt with you and be forward with you. The only reason we ask is Aaron made mention about maybe Ryan seeing something on your Snapchat. Not that that was Houston, but maybe there was something with your Snapchat.
Last fall, there was a Snapchat that wasn't even meant for me.
Okay, tell me about that.
Supposedly, Ryan saw it, not me. And he told me about it. It was something about a married woman and naked, seeing her naked or something like that.
Okay.
And Ryan saw it and confronted me, and I confronted Houston, who were friends on Snapchat, and that's it. And he swore up and down to both of us that it wasn't intended for me. And that was the end of it.
So Houston sent us, I guess I'm not familiar with Snapchat, I don't use it.
Not a picture, Ryan took a picture of the, message that he sent through Snapchat about something about being a married woman or something. I barely even saw it because I didn't know what the hell it was.
Okay.
And he swore up and down it wasn't meant for me.
Houston.
And we had snapped each other earlier in the day that day because he got some product from my salon.
Okay.
So he said that he sent it to the wrong person.
So, I guess.
This is dumb.
Well, we're trying to get to the bottom of dumb.
Oh my God.
We're just making sure that all the questions are answered. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it a situation where Houston sends a snap to you that's not supposed to go to you?
Supposedly. He did send a snap to me, yes.
That is about you being a married woman or naked with a married woman?
Don't know.
You don't know? Well, what does Ryan say about that?
We've talked about it since then. We've talked about it with friends. That's how non-issue it became after we talked about it. That said something about, remember, I've seen you naked, and something about a married woman.
Has Houston seen you naked?
No! God, no!
Okay.
He's 22 years old.
Oh,
No!
To each their own. I'm just.
Stupid town and their rumors. No!
Okay.
I cut his hair.
I didn't know
I
that.
watched his kids a couple times when his babysitter flaked.
Okay.
Oh my God.
We don't know unless we
Yes,
ask.
Happy 4th of July.
Right?
No, not tomorrow. Monday. Have a good holiday.
So, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it's safe to say that nothing is going on between you and Houston.
Absolutely not. After that Snapchat, I don't even talk. I don't cut his hair anymore. I told Ryan I would just keep a distance from everybody, from him, from his brother, from anybody related in that age group.
Okay.
To make him feel better, and it's been a non-issue since then.
And this was, you said last fall. Got a better time frame on that?
This snap was not last fall. It was more like this spring or late winter.
Okay. Oh.
Last fall is when I was supposedly horsing around with him because I babysat his kids and his truck was at my house because I babysat with.
Okay.
We're friends. Ryan didn't like him. They don't fundamentally get along. So as his wife, I said, I'm not his friend anymore. Or cutting his hair, just keep a distance. And it was over. It was done.
Okay. When's the last time you socially interacted with Houston? Or cut his hair or anything like that?
Last fall.
Okay.
Good Lord. What an idiot.
Don't talk to him. He asked me to watch his kids one time. Might have been, I don't know if it was last fall or this spring because it was field work, and I said no, that Ryan wasn't comfortable with it, but Amber, my friend Amber, would be more than willing to, and he called her and she became his babysitter.
Okay.
That's the last I've spoke with him.
And what's Amber's last name?
Monit.
Monit?
M-O-N-A-T.
Okay. Like I said, we get information and sometimes we have to ask stupid questions.
It's not a stupid question.
Okay.
Yeah, I get why you're telling her that. Good Lord. Mother of the year. God.
So that interview took place, as you said, it started approximately 5 hours after that phone call to Karina Cooper, which was at 4:30 a.m. You also stated then that you conducted an additional interview the following day on June 19th of 2021.
Yes.
What was the purpose of that second interview?
To try to get more information from Karina. The autopsy had been completed on Ryan, and we had completed our search of the house and processing of the house. So I had some follow-up questions for Karina that following day.
When you were going to interview that second day, what additional information beyond the information you received from the autopsy did you have?
Well, we had processed the house, so there were some questions that related to what we found at the house. I guess I don't know specifically what you're asking.
Certainly. So you had said that the house had been processed. Did you participate in what you called processing that house?
I did, yes.
And when you say process the house, what do you mean?
In this particular case, we utilized the DCI crime scene team. And so the crime scene team came and they did the majority of the processing. But in this particular case, I assisted with looking through. There was a couple of outbuildings on the property as well as some vehicles away from the residence, the actual home. And so I helped photograph and look through both those vehicles and some of the outbuildings on the north side of the property.
And briefly and just generally, what types of things were you looking for?
Just anything, firearms, any information. We weren't sure at that time whether this was maybe a break-in or attempted robbery or something like that. So we were trying to see if there was anything of value that would have been around the property that was maybe missing, as well as anything evidentiary involved in the case, just, blood or anything that was out of place.
Did you locate any signs of forced entry during the processing of the scene?
No.
Did you locate any missing valuables, or did you locate valuables that were still present at the scene?
We did. I was able to locate a firearm in one of the pickups on the property, and in a separate vehicle, I located a envelope with $600 in cash and checkbooks. I believe the checkbooks were for the Cooper Farm Incorporated, their LLC or their company that they have. Those were in I would call it an older farm truck, not the nice shiny new one. So.
All right. Why was that important or relevant to your investigation?
It just showed that, if the intent was to come in and steal things, they didn't look very hard, because the unlocked pickup truck next to their house had a pretty good haul in it.
All right. So you have that information, not full details, but generally what did you learn from the autopsy?
That the cause and manner of death was gunshot wounds of the head, and that it was manner of death was manner of death was homicide.
And you said gunshot wounds. Do you remember how many?
2.
How did that information influence or affect your subsequent interview?
It took out the theory of, is this a medical problem? Is this a suicide? It made it clear that something had happened and that this was a homicide.
With that in mind, was part of the nature of your questioning involving, again, not only developing a timeline, but also scene security, or essentially the security of the home itself?
Yes.
Had you learned information about, and we've heard some previous testimony about the fact that there was a family dog?
Yes, they have a Rottweiler at that time. His name was Ransom, and that he was present in the residence. It was explained to us that Ransom barked at everything. Ransom was a very protective dog. as Rottweilers tend to be. He slept in the house most nights. When it was cooler out, he would sleep outside, but in this particular evening, he was in the residence, and in fact, in the bedroom with Karina and the two younger children.
And she provided you with that information?
Yes.
With regard to the security of the home, did you ask her questions about the door that was located behind the recliner Ryan Cooper was found in?
Yes. Generally speaking, was the house typically locked? Were doors always locked? Who locked them? She indicated that Ryan was always kind of the last one in the house in most of the time, and he would make sure things were locked up, and that they were more focused on locking the shop because there's typically more valuables in the shop as opposed to the residence. She specifically said that she was 99% sure that door behind Ryan was locked, and that she had been doing some painting, and through the course of that, she had made sure that that door was locked as she finished her painting.
Did you try to determine where everyone else in the house was at that time? We've heard testimony at this point that at the time she finds her husband, Ryan Cooper, there were 3 children in the home as well. Did you try to make a determination of where everyone was sleeping that night?
Yes. She stated that she had made a deal with the kids that she would paint their rooms whatever color they wanted over the summer, but kind of the reward would be that all kids would be back in their beds, and that Cade, the oldest boy, was sleeping upstairs. He would sleep on the sofa with his dad and watch TV. The last few evenings he was going to his room, and that the 2 younger children were, by the end of summer, before school started, supposed to be back in their rooms, but on that particular night they were sleeping with Karina in her bedroom.
Ultimately, did you begin to develop suspicions or have concerns that Karina Cooper may be involved in the death of Ryan Cooper?
Yes.
And during this interview, did you confront her with that suspicion?
Yes, I did.
And what did she tell you?
I believe she said it was ridiculous. She made comments about Houston Danker, and that made comments about Ryan's, because Ryan sleeps in the other room, or that they maybe don't get along all the time, that why would that be a reason for her to kill him? Something to that effect.
Did she say she was sleeping?
Yes, she was sleeping at the time. She stated that when this happened, she was sleeping and she woke up from the loud noise.
And did you conduct this interview by yourself, or was there another agent present?
Agent Trent Villada was also present during that time.
And similar to the last recording, or the last interview that you did, was that recorded, the interview that you completed on the 19th?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, let me just ask you, have you had an opportunity to review the recording of that second interview?
Yes.
Did that fairly and accurately capture the interview that you completed with Karina Cooper on that date?
Yes, it does.
This time, the state would move to admit and publish State's Exhibit number 301.
Any objection?
None, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 301 is admitted. And let me know when you're ready, Mr. Ringel.
And again, this isn't the full interview. These are portions of the interview that you completed. And initially, or at least during a portion of this interview, you spoke with her about the dog Ransom, correct?
Correct.
Are you ready, Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
What about the dog? I noticed I stepped in a couple piles of dog poop. And somebody said you guys have maybe a Rottweiler?
We have a Rottweiler.
Okay. Where's the dog? Where's the dog now?
He's with some friends of ours that watch him when we go on vacation.
Where was the dog on Thursday night?
He was in the bedroom with me.
Okay.
And he barks at everything.
Okay.
And he woke up when I woke up to the noise and let out a little
To that, okay, to the loud noises.
Yeah, and
okay.
but he's usually upstairs with Kate but since we took the carpet out, he's afraid of the wood on the steps. So I tripped over him leaving my bedroom. That's what we just talked about today, that if somebody was in the house, he would have been raising hell, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
He barks at everything.
Okay.
But he's in the house every night. Either he kind of wanders around the house.
Okay. You typically leave your bedroom door open?
Yes.
So he's, for the lack of a better term, he's a free-range dog.
Yes.
We have 2 cockapoos that if you let them in the carpet, the minute they see carpet, they're going to pee on it. And they've been potty trained for 3 years.
But they're cats.
Yeah.
Cats pee on everything.
As soon as they see carpet, it's pee time. So we seclude them in a little thing at night, but they have free range of the
He's
upstairs.
all over the house.
Okay.
You could probably leave him in the house for 2 days and he wouldn't go to the bathroom. He just
Okay.
goes everywhere in the yard.
Okay.
But he's almost, this time of year, if it's a nice cool night, he likes to lay on the patio furniture and he might not come in.
Okay.
But when it's hot like it has been, he's in the
In the
house.
house. So it's not uncommon to let him in the house. Like he'd be
No,
living-
almost every night. I prefer he be in the house just because we lost a few dogs to the highway, so we try to keep him
yeah.
inside at night.
What's his name?
Ransom.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's a good dog name. I went with Doug, which I think is
Also a good name.
It's a good dog name. Okay. So Ransom's in the house. He doesn't make much noise other than the kind of the. Oof.
Just a real low, like, he
When
does
you-
that if Ryan gets up to go to the bathroom, or
Okay. Okay.
he full on barks if he hears something outside or in the house.
Okay. Well, that kind of takes me into my next question. You get up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom?
Around there usually is when I do.
Okay. Kind of take me back through that. I know you said that you thought you went to bed about midnight.
I think I finally fell asleep about midnight. Cortland was kind of up and down, not up, but crying in her sleep or something all night. I know I got up to go to the bathroom. The TV was off because it was on before. It's right there in front of the doorway, so I glance, and a lot of times if it's still on, I'll go in and shut it off.
So it's off at 3 a.m.
It was off.
And did you look at the clock? Do you know that it's 3 a.m.?
No, I just know that that's usually about the time that I wake up and go to the bathroom.
And it's because you take the water pills?
Yes.
And what does that do? What does the water pill do?
It's not a water pill. It's called Be Epic. It's like a weight management pill.
Okay.
And that's the only thing I can blame it on, that I tend to go to the bathroom a lot with it.
And specifically, middle of the night?
Specifically, first few hours in the morning when I take the morning one, and then middle of the night. And then that I kind of chalk up to being 44 years old. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's
Just wait
almost
till you
always
hit
about the
50.
same time.
I have to get up and go to the bathroom every middle of the night, too.
And then sometimes I can't fall back asleep.
So I guess, the way I should have asked that question is, when you say 3 o'clock, you don't know that it's 3 o'clock. You're just going off of past experience of, hey, my middle of the night, I gotta pee.
Yeah, I'm guessing it
You
was
go
around
out there, and the TV's off, and you said you hear Ryan snoring.
I hear him snoring.
Okay. So, time aside, at that time, whatever time it is, the TV's off, he's snoring, you're 100% sure with that. You go to the bathroom, you go back to bed, you fall asleep right away.
I don't feel like I was sound asleep, you know?
So,
I usually, sometimes I can't fall back asleep and I'll get on my phone, because half the time I'm apologizing to Katie Morrison, my good friend, because she'll always joke with me, are you always up at 3? Because I'll respond to a message or something to her at 3 and then realize it's 3 in the morning. So I didn't get on, I think I fell right back asleep, but I don't feel like I was in a deep, deep sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I had been asleep for hours.
okay. And then what happens?
And then I wake up to a noise, like a crash is the best way I can describe it. And the first thing I thought was the shower caddy that had fallen the day before and scared Kate and I.
Mm-hmm.
And now he says he heard that too.
Cade says that?
Yeah, but he's heard me talking for a day and I don't know
Yeah.
what to take.
And he's upstairs, right?
He's upstairs. So I got up and I know that I glanced at the living room see his foot. Went to the bathroom, flipped on the light, that thing wasn't down, flipped off the light, went to the kitchen and looked out over the sink. That's what we, and then I was pissed because he wasn't up. Usually he gets up too, and we're like, what was that noise? And he went in the living room and said his name, and there was no answer, and I swear I heard him snore. From the kitchen is where I swear I heard him snore. And I turned on the table lamp, and just glancing at him, adjusting my eyes, it looked like he was laying there sleeping. And then there was blood.
Okay.
A lot of it.
A lot of blood.
And I just started screaming. I thought somebody was there. Kate came running down the stairs, and I don't know if I was going to be going up the stairs. I don't know, but I was at the bottom of the stairs when he came down. And I think I scared him because he turned around and started running back up. And I said, no, come down here and get in the bedroom. And I put him in the bedroom with the other two, and I said, lock the door. And I think I locked myself in there too when I called Aaron. I think I was in the bedroom when I called Aaron. And then I told them to stay in the bedroom no matter what and don't answer for anybody but me or Aaron. And I went out and tried to wake him up.
And did the kids listen to you? Did they stay in there?
Kate came out and came running, and he slipped in the blood that was on the floor.
You had stated that you had information from the autopsy that Ryan Cooper had sustained 2 gunshot wounds to the face. Had that information, to your knowledge, been shared with Karina Cooper prior to this interview?
No,
And did you ask her again what she believed had happened to Ryan?
I did.
What did you think about, like, how's this blood? Like, what?
I didn't. I don't know. I was looking all over him trying to find a cut, a shot, a bump. I was just looking, trying to figure out where the blood came from, and I couldn't find anything.
You couldn't find that? Okay. Nothing stood out to you? No simple marks?
One eye was open. That was the only thing that I
Okay.
keep remembering. I couldn't find, it seemed like it was all around his face, though, and his neck.
Okay.
I didn't pull the blanket back, I just kept grabbing his face.
You'd stated before that you asked her about the door behind Ryan. Why were you asking about that door?
After processing the scene, we found what at that time would appear to be blood on the steps and the stairwell behind that door. And we were wondering if someone had come in that door, come out that door, if that door was locked, if it was open when she found Ryan, or if it was closed when she found Ryan, or what was the status of that door when she discovers Ryan.
Do you know, I understand it's a chaotic situation, but do you know, does anybody go in or out that living room door?
I don't think so. I know Kate was next to that living room door because that's where he slipped. But he would have had no reason to open it. He was there involved, asking me what's wrong, asking Daddy to wake up. So I don't know of any reason why. I don't remember anybody going in or out that door. The deputy was behind me. They didn't come in that door. I think Aaron met him at the kitchen door.
And you said when Aaron comes in the house, he comes in from the kitchen?
He was behind me.
He comes in behind
When
you.
I noticed him, he was behind me. He wouldn't have used the living room door. Everybody that knows us uses the kitchen door.
Okay.
It wouldn't have probably even occurred to him to go in the living room.
So it's safe to say that, as far as you know, nobody came in?
I wouldn't think so, no.
And nobody went out that
Not
door?
before or after, or before I was out of the house.
Now I'm going to ask you a tough question. Do you know for sure that that door is closed when you come in there?
I think so. I mean, it's right by his chair. I think I would notice if it was open.
Yeah, that's my
I
opinion
am
too.
99% certain it was closed.
Okay. That's a pretty...
It's literally less than a foot away from his chair.
Yeah.
I would have
Pretty
noticed.
percentage. Yeah.
I know I was losing my mind, but I'm sure I would notice. I've been over it a million times in my head. Because Katie keeps asking me if there was a lamp or anything, and I just painted. There wasn't anything in the room.
Okay.
She had described to you during the first interview hearing a crashing sound. Did you follow up on that crashing sound?
Yes.
For what purpose?
We wanted to see if something had in fact fallen off the wall or fallen off a shelf or something in the house to see if there was a reason why she heard a crash.
Did you or Agent Valletta also make an attempt to determine, again, a timeline? She stated that she was in bed between when she heard that crash and when she got up.
Yes.
What did she tell you?
Between 5 and 10 seconds.
Going over it in my head after, I wonder if something that I have stacked up, to put back up on the walls, but all that stuff is in my bedroom. And it didn't sound like it was in my bedroom. It sounded like it was basement, kitchen, all those sounds sound distant. Sounded distant.
Okay.
But it sounded not like glass breaking, it just sounded like a crash.
Sounded like something falling off a shelf.
Yes.
Or falling
Yes.
from up high down.
Down low, onto something hard, not carpet.
Okay.
But it wasn't even loud enough, like I said, to wake the dog. And usually, if there's a loud enough noise, he's barking. Barking.
And he doesn't give out a bark. He just
Just
kinda
the low,
woof,
like the warning.
lets the air out of his lungs.
Yes.
Yeah, my dog does the same.
And then he followed me. He wasn't even raising hell once he followed me out of the room.
Okay. Do you know? Can you answer this when you're going back and forth and this is all going on? Does Ransom stay in the room with the kids?
I know he was in there at different times.
In the room with Ryan or in
No, in the room with the kids.
Okay.
I don't remember him ever being in the room with Ryan. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I don't remember it.
You don't remember shooing him out of there, grabbing him, throwing him outside or anything like that?
No. No, he didn't go outside, I don't think, until I did, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I know he was in the bedroom when I went back in the bedroom with Cade, because I locked the door and he was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was upset, agitated. He wasn't barking, but he was agitated.
Mm-hmm. He's probably going off of your,
Right.
They can sense that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your dog gets freaked out because when you're freaked out,
Yeah.
I
I have to think, though, I don't know if Cortland stayed in the bedroom the whole time, but from what they're telling me, that Cable kind of came in a little bit and she probably followed him. I would have to think that the dog did too, because he follows those kids around everywhere.
Okay. And how, is he a big dog?
He's 130 pounds.
That's a big dog.
He's a big dog.
Yeah.
He's a big baby, but usually at night he kind of, with the other two always being in bed with me, we always joke that he's pacing because he'll usually sleep at Ryan's feet for part of the night. He'll come in my bedroom for part of the night. He goes upstairs, or he did while there was still carpet with Cade. He's very protective. So more than likely he was between the two rooms, but if I had to guess, he was with the kids.
Okay. Okay.
We were talking about nightly routines, lights on in the house at night. I can't see crap in the dark, so I have to leave like a kitchen light on. Sometimes I fall asleep on the couch, or sometimes when I snore, I get kicked in the spare bedroom. So I have little lights everywhere. Is that kind of, with little kids, is that how you guys operate?
It's not so much lights, it's me and my decorating that, yes, we have usually quite a few small, like, I call them nightlight light bulbs, but they're in a decorative thing. The kitchen is usually pretty well lit. I've got one similar to that in the living room and the dining room, but neither one are plugged in because I just painted and I haven't put everything back. But the house, I would say, is lit decently. My bedroom is very, very dark. The yard light comes through in the living room. That's how I can usually peek in on Ryan.
And that was the other thing we always forget to ask, every case I ever do, the outside lights. So that you have the outside driveway light that's always on.
Yeah, that's
you have
the
a
yard
motion
light.
light too by the door. I can't remember if I saw one.
We have can lights that are new
That's
since we got the house sited, and they're never on because we've never had them before. We always forget.
Always forget.
But we would turn, the few times that I've left those on, like when he was combining or something, until he got home, he shuts those off at
But like with most farms, the driveway is at least lit.
The yard light is quite bright, and it shines right in that living room because I figured he was going to have a fit because I hadn't put curtains or anything back up yet, so it was going to be light while he was sleeping.
Okay, yeah. And I always forget to ask that, and I have to call you at some point. You know, like my wife, when you hear a noise at night, my wife, especially when the kids were little, we have this big fat cat in our house. He's like 10 times as big as he should be, and he always jumps up on stuff, and it sounds like a bowling ball hitting things, right? So every time Henry would jump on something, my wife would be like, oh shit, and she'd roll out and be on her feet into the hallway. Is that kind of like you, where you're...
Yes, when the kids were really little.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting over that a little bit, that I'm sleeping a little harder than I used to.
You're in your 40, I'm 49, so I get where you're coming from.
I'm sleeping harder than I used to, but I don't feel like I was sleeping real hard that night anyway, because Portland was having a weird night that she was fussy.
So I guess my question then would be, is when you hear that noise, are you pretty quick to get out of bed?
I don't feel like I was. I feel like I laid there scared for a second before I moved, because usually he'll jump up, and then when I see him get up, within less than 10 seconds, but usually he's up when there's a noise.
Right.
And then I get up because I'm not.
And usually my wife has to wake me up and say, go look, because I don't hear anything, so.
So I probably laid there for what now feels like probably too long, but at the time probably 5-10 seconds, and he didn't get up, so that's why I would have peeked in the living room to see if he was sleeping.
During the course of the interview, did you ask her about the state of any blood that she observed?
Yes, she was asked what the blood looked like. She made mention of it was chunky or clotted.
And why are you asking those questions?
Because depending on temperature, depending on location, blood clots a little bit differently. It's not necessarily going to clot right away. So it's curious as to whether there were clots there when she found it, or when she found Ryan.
All right.
And you said when you went out there, you saw a lot of blood. Can you kind of tell, because I had to, did you see any behind him, on the floor, anywhere else? Not at first.
After, when I was kind of pulling at his shirt and looking around more, I saw, and maybe it was when Kate slid, because I remember looking down and freaking out because he slid in blood, and I remember seeing splatters on the floor beside the chair. I don't remember anything.
Did it look like pools, or did it look just like...
It looked like I remember seeing dots.
Right.
But it had to have been more if Kate slipped.
If he slipped, right.
I don't remember seeing any behind him. I remember his favorite blanket that his sister made him that was on him. There was like chunks of blood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. And was it towards the end of your interview then that you had confronted her with your suspicions?
Yes.
I think that this is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Whatever's happening between you and your husband, whatever the issues are, okay?
There are no issues. There are no issues. living room?
I'm not saying that.
Because rumors flew last fall that I was sleeping with some kid that he even said was ridiculous and apologized to me for. Because as a married couple, we had a few months that we weren't communicating very well because we dealt with his mom's death hard. We've been fine. Never once did either one of us ever say that we were going to leave. Never once did we doubt our marriage, our kids, our family. We have plans.
Says you.
Thank you, Judge. That's the end of that exhibit. Again, at any point during the second interview, did she talk to you about being awake at 3:30 in the morning and sending Snapchat messages with Houston Danker?
No,
Or deleting photos?
no,
Did she ever talk about the fact that she was having an affair with Houston Danker?
no,
And did she ever state that Houston Danker was a threat to Ryan in any way?
no.
No further questions.
Mr. Hawbaker?
No cross, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down. And I don't think we have another witness for the state today, right? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let you go, and remember, there is no court tomorrow. You're off, we're off. We will resume Monday at 9 o'clock and ask that you be here ready to go then. Again, you've been giving this admonition several times. It's especially important. I mean, it's always important, but you have more chances to maybe call it to mind over the long break. I don't know if you're getting together with friends and family over the 4th, over the weekend. People are going to want to know what you've been doing, what you're up to, may have questions. It's going to be tempting to talk to people about this. Don't. So again, keep an open, don't communicate with anybody about this case, and don't let them see this case. Don't do any sort of investigation or research on your own, via social media, internet searches or otherwise. And keep an open mind. There's still more to go. So with that, I hope you all have a good 4th and a good long weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
Let's just wait, double check, make sure that there's nothing. Nothing that the attorneys want to talk to the judge about.
Just a couple, I guess, housekeeping things first. We did have one sidebar, I believe. I think there was an objection, asked to approach about something to do with, I don't know which witness it was, but it was about Karina Cooper's statements about Houston Danker, right? And anyway, the state simply rephrased the question and addressed it. Anybody want to add to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then one other thing, I think we have states exhibits that now have become defendants exhibits A and B. You'll just need to remember to upload those so I can admit them at some point via EDMS. I think that, and so that's all I had on the record. Anybody, anything on the record for the state?
The only other thing I had is the admissibility or the state's decision on the admission of Miss Lord's exhibit that the state had offered.
Yep, I'll do that first thing Monday morning. Like I said, I don't have no hurry for me. So anything you want to address on the record?
No.
All right, then we can go off the record.
Okay. That's everything. Yay. 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 Okay, guys, that is it for this week. Have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July holiday. Dang, it's too early to redirect y'all to Biggin. Let's see. Is there anybody on I can redirect y'all to? I wonder if Mike is live. Mike is sometimes alive. Artie's live. Can redirect y'all to Artie's. Let me see. Let me see. Who is live? Let's see. We got. Yep. We got Artie. Okay. We'll redirect you to Artie's corporate fiction. And have a very, very, very happy 4th of July. Stay safe. Drink responsibly because I don't have bail money to bail you out, so don't call me. Be kind to people. Love your family. Be nice. And if you can't be nice, at least tolerate them because they might be the person that decides what nursing home you go to when you get old. Remember, Jesus loves you and so do I. And have a wonderful, safe holiday. And I will see you all bright and early Monday morning. Bye, guys. You are loved and appreciated. Have a safe holiday.